But one of the big market movers today is, of course, Tesla stepping on the gas when it comes to deliveries. 308,000 vehicles delivered in the fourth quarter, and that sent the stock soaring. It is now up 11% on that news, sending its market cap past $1.1 trillion. That's with a T. And here to help us discuss the road ahead for the EV is Dan Ives, Wedbush Managing Director and Senior Equity Analyst. Dan, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year to you. How did it do it? How did it overcome all of the supply chain issues that other, EV makers and other sectors have had to deal with, as well as chip supply issues?
Yeah, I mean, Musk has had the golden touch. When you look at how Tesla's been able to navigate the chip shortage, and this was a jaw dropper quarter, in terms of relative to beating the street by 16%. I think it just shows massive momentum as part of this green tidal wave going in 2022, just really almost a trophy case quarter relative to what the street was expecting.
So, Dan, we know that this was a jaw dropper performance, as you said in your note. The stock is up 50% for 2021. You say there are massive tailwinds for this company in the new year, but I'm curious, how much more room do you think the stock has to go? And what are some of those massive tailwinds?
Well, in 18 months, we think there's a $2 trillion market cap. So I still think we're only sort of third inning of the whole Tesla growth story playing out. Not just because of China, but because capacity. Look at what's happened with Berlin and Austin. They'll have 2 million plus units by the end of the year. And the profitability profile is just massively changing in a great way for Tesla. I think you combine that all, this is just one. 1,400 is our base case, 1,800 bull, but I think this is just really what we needed to see more momentum, especially with that chip shortage now starting to wane.
I just wanted to follow up. You mentioned China, and I know that the company opened up a showroom recently in a region of China where there are U.S. allegations of genocide going on. Does Tesla risk sort of wading into a human rights dispute in China, and what might the backlash be, in the Western world?
Look, and when it comes to China, as we've seen with Apple and we're seeing it with Tesla, it continues to be that tightrope because that continues to be a massive area from a supply as well as a demand. I mean, we think about 40% of deliveries will be coming out of China for Tesla into 2022. And you'll have some of these issues that they're going to have to navigate and play nice in the sandbox. But let's be clear. I mean, China continues to be a linchpin to the thesis for Tesla in 2022. And this green tidal wave, the bull thesis in Tesla doesn't happen without China.
And then how much of this story is to do with Tesla, and how much is it sort of a rising tide for the whole EV sector as a whole? What does it bode for companies like Rivian and Lucid, for example?
Yeah, I think you're going to see massive winners out there, not just Rivian, but look at the Detroit stalwarts, Ford, GM. I think you look at names like Fisker, Canoo, Electric Last Mile, and Exo, some of the commercial players. But in EV land, it's Tesla's world and everyone else is paying rent at this point. Now, that I think over time, you'll start seeing more beneficiaries of this, but it all comes down to scale. And that's really, I think this quarter, Tesla definitely flexed their muscles.
You brought up the OEMs, and I'm wondering, you talk about scale. I mean, they've certainly been doing it for decades, right? I mean, they can easily scale, perhaps even more easily than Tesla, unless you disagree. Is that perhaps one of the biggest headwinds for Tesla in the new year, is competition from the stalwarts like Ford and GM?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think it will take a few years to really see that play out. I do think Ford and GM in particular are just massive re-rating stocks. And they have the distribution now. It's about getting the models, and the conversion is going to be key, especially for Ford and GM coming out of the gates. But Tesla has a massive advantage, both from a brand, from what they've done on the battery technology, and from a scale. And that's why what you're seeing. And I've never viewed Tesla as an automobile company. I view them as a disruptive technology vendor. That's why every time I see the apples to oranges comparison of a Tesla to a Toyota or some of those traditional OEMs, I just disagree. And that's always been our thesis the last decade.
Dan, we've just seen Tesla cross 1 trillion. I wonder how quickly before it reaches 2 trillion. We will all be waiting and watching, but we will leave it there. Dan Ives, Wedbush Managing Director and Senior Equity Analyst, thanks for stopping by today.